What's up, everybody? Welcome to Fatboy Fade Away Podcast. Got Tyler McGurk here, Daren Breyer, Sunday night edition, 9/11. Here to about 9/12 here on a Sunday night. We're here to wrap up the sports week. We're going to mostly be talking about the NBA a little bit. I've been very interested in it since it's got back. But before we get into that a little bit, I wanted to kind of just talk about golf a little bit. It was my birthday weekend, this week. So I ended up doing our usual traditional golf weekend. I ended up getting to play golf with twice with my mom and Derek on Friday. My mom,
a little family
very
outing.
Good, actually.
Really?
Family outing. Yeah, very good. She I hit one on the green probably within within 10 yards, and I was like, oh, that's a good shot. And she hit it like closer.
You're like,
showed
damn
me
it.
up. I was like, dang, my mom just showed me up. I liked it, so it was good. So it was fun to do that, and then played with you guys yesterday over at Bennett Valley. Not quite the performance I was hoping for.
Continued my winning streak.
Yes, you were. I think I did win the back nine, but you did win the overall total, so that's all that matters. So, Nick, your teammate, we did team you and Nick. Nick didn't play bad the first nine, but he finally the back nine.
A couple of scrimshaws and
a couple of scrimshaws later, and Casey irritating him. Back at it. So that was fun though. Did you check out any of the actually pros today?
What was that?
The pros,
PGA?
The PGA Championship. Yeah.
Yeah, and saw some Asian guy from Cal. Did he end up blowing it? Or did he win?
He ended up winning. Colin
right.
Morikawa or something like that.
I don't know. It's from Cal.
Yeah, he had like a really good chip on the 16th to give him like a lead.
I saw him get a birdie. Or
yeah,
Eagle.
Yeah,
on like a par 4, he drove the green, and I was like, what the heck? What type of course is this?
Yeah, it's like the one hole on that course. You can kind of go for it a little bit.
I didn't know it was in San Francisco, this PGA.
Yeah, it was over there. That's cool. It was kind of funny watching them play and us playing yesterday, and just like how
sucky we are.
I mean, just on a different level, those guys are like. It's like literally throwing a dart to them. You know what I mean? Like,
it's like watching an NBA game and watching us play basketball. Like, we're not bad, but like.
Honestly, what do you think would be harder, hitting a fastball, or just even competing with on a professional level? I mean, at golf, like what would be harder?
Hitting a fastball, or I mean,
I think golf seems like what sport's harder?
I'm not doing either.
That one's always. I don't know. That seems like a tough debate to me.
I mean, hitting a golf ball, you're competing against a course. You're not even competing against a human being. So
it's just
except yourself.
It's just that skill of hitting the ball is still kind of the same.
But, like, I have the Nielsen Lamet from the Padres on my fantasy team. I was watching him pitch today. Sold 100 with this slider that I was like, there's no chance that I have any shot of even coming close at touching the ball.
Like, how does anybody hit that?
Yeah, like,
that shows you
how do you even stand in there and not bail out? Like, when you, I don't know.
Obviously, they're not afraid.
Certain mindset. You have
so anyways,
sort of trust in your opponent.
Yeah, it was interesting with the golf, though. Back to that real quick, though. Like, obviously, us playing this weekend, it kind of got me thinking about it. And playing actually a decent course this weekend made me think how good those guys were. And so today, like we said, the Colin Morikawa guy won at 13 under. He shot 16 under the final round. The thing that caught my eye about golf, though, before we get into NBA was remember how I brought up a few podcasts ago about how it'd be nice if there's a little bit more like trash talking in golf, like
yeah.
And then sure enough today, like
good old Koepka.
Koepka said he brought up about how Dustin Johnson only has one major, and then Rory McIlroy was like, yeah, but he's got 21 wins. He's got like 2/3 more victories than he does. So it was kind of funny, just like in golf, to actually have these guys a little trash talk. I'm okay with that. I like that a little bit. So yeah, it just makes it a little bit more interesting, right? If they were paired up in a major in next month or something like that. So
they both just happened to suck this Sunday. I mean, we were talking about it like on the course, them doing it.
Yeah, I mean that would be even better. I mean, I don't expect Koepka to say like "you jackass" like during his backswing or something like that, but That would be really funny if that happened, but no. So, anyways, I thought it was fun just to get a little golf in there this weekend, and then have the pros play, and just kind of realize like how unreal those guys are. So NBA, you've been watching a little bit of it, or at least kind of just following some scores and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I know. I feel like it's working. I feel like for the most part they're doing a pretty good job with it. I feel like, there's been obviously the main thing, no positive tests, no nothing like that for COVID that has caused any type of slowdown in their delay of games, or, like how baseball's dealing with it. So
the bubble's definitely working.
Yeah, so from that standpoint, it's been good. I personally, a couple other things I like. I like the bigger court with no fans. And
just like more
feel
room.
Like the players can be a little bit more aggressive around there. I'm not saying they're like diving like extra more, but I just feel like there's a little bit more freedom for them to be a little bit more athletic around the sidelines than maybe they would before, worrying about diving into like.
Don't have to worry about plowing into their owner.
Probably their owner, like knocking over like a family of 7 or something like that, and just like crushing them.
And Dennis Rodman kicking a cameraman in the waivers.
Yeah, we don't need any of that. So I don't. It kind of just reminds me a little bit of like watching a game from like Spain or Brazil, though. Like they got like the massive baseline, the baseline over there. So
like high school almost.
Do you think that actually makes a difference at all? The court. I mean, I have even noticed that they on the sideline there.
Gave myself a facial.
My gosh, what is that? Coffee?
Yeah. Anyway, carry on.
Hot coffee?
Wow. No, it's not hot, luckily. Anyway.
Do you think it makes a difference to the court at all? Like them being actually more aggressive or something?
I think it might
give
them
that's just me?
A little more freedom, like just knowing they can fall and not have to worry about landing in someone's lap. But I don't know if they think about it. I don't know how. I think some guys it probably affects, but I don't think Russell Westbrook thinks about it.
I don't know. It just makes me feel like they're in some like other country though, like it's like some like Turkish,
but it has to have
Turkey
some
area or
benefit.
something. Yeah, I don't know.
The back of your head.
It's just weird to the eye a little bit. The other thing that I noticed that I'm okay with it was the virtual fan thing. At first, when I saw it, I was like, "This is weird. Like this is gonna be."
I'm not a fan
ridiculous.
of it, but it doesn't.
I feel like they reduced the size of the heads from like the first game or week that I saw. Like I feel like the heads were
big
like,
heads
massive. And then I was like, "My gosh, those heads are huge!" And then they finally like kind of like shrunk them. And now I kind of like how like some of the people are having like a good time with it. Like there was one guy like watching the game with a goat or something like that, and like there's somebody like like Shaq was in there, like Little Wayne was in there. I don't know.
It doesn't bother me, but
no,
I'd rather have it not there. I don't like artificial things in general, like the noise. I'd rather have this.
But even
stay away from it.
I noticed for like certain teams, they're doing like even like the Celtics, they'll do like there's certain noises like their home crowd will make, like just like drum, like beats or something like that, or like the Lakers, how they'll do like certain like certain rally songs, just certain beats, certain home courts will have it, and they're actually doing that. So I think they're trying to do that to give it some sort of home court feel.
I don't think there's any maliciousness behind it. I'm just let your product entertain me. I'm not here for artificial like noise. I'm not going to watch it because of that, and I'm not going to turn it off because of that.
Well, speaking of artificial, I think I've also made the point. One of the reasons I would enjoy it the most is if they didn't edit out anything verbally. I think that would be the
put
best
it on
part
like
of it.
HBO or something.
Well, yeah, I think that'd be the best part. I've noticed that there's sometimes some 8-second silent delays during some of the broadcasts, which tells you they're delaying the game a little bit, which, it's a little disappointing. So I'm sure there's some really good trash talk going on a little bit.
Oh, I can only imagine.
During the game. So, but I'd say for the most part, it's been a success because the other part and the most important part of all that is, to me, the quality of the play has actually been pretty good. So the games have been pretty close for the most part today. There's a couple more overtime games. A couple close finishes. So the only thing I'm a little complaining about, just because you have to complain on one thing, right, is sometimes I feel like I'm always going to complain about too many free throws, and there has been a little bit of a tick up in free throw shot. I don't know if that has to do with anything or the players just being worse at defense right now, but that's the only thing. There's a couple games there was like 80 free throw shot, which is
I just feel like there's no defense being played in general. Like by the teams that are already in it, they're like, well, we're in it.
I
We
mean,
don't really have to.
I still feel like the defense is being played.
I mean,
Don't you
look
think
at the scores, though. It's so
play?
high scoring.
Do you think it's just harder to play defense? Like, meaning the rules? The rules aren't really set up for anybody to be like great at defense, I feel like.
No, absolutely not. It's like football now. Like, it's all set up for scoring.
How do you play cornerback or any of these other positions like that?
Yeah. No, absolutely, it's not set up. But I feel like the scores weren't this high, and people weren't scoring in 50 points every day. I feel like someone scores 50 points every day. Now.
Yeah, it does seem like there's a lot more like 40 to 50 point games like that. So I think that has to do something with the spacing that the coaches have employed. Obviously, shooting more points, you're going to.
But they were doing the same spacing before.
Well, how far back are we talking?
Before the pandemic.
You're saying after the pandemic?
Yeah.
You're saying just that little stretch. I got you.
Yeah, okay. This like 2-week period. The scoring is. But
I think the quality of play at least has been watchable, and at least it's been kind of fun to watch at least and stuff. So it's not like I'd rather do that than 87, 89 or something like that.
Oh,
so
absolutely. I don't want to.
I'll take that other way around. I kind of wanted to get to something we kind of talked about a couple of weeks ago, and I kind of was thinking about it a little bit more. Remember how I brought the idea about how it'd be kind of good if the NBA had relegation like the Premier League, how they had something set up like that, how it would be interesting how the league would operate. I've kind of given it a little bit more thought, seeing how it played out. I do like the idea because you're kind of seeing it a little bit here. If you had 22 of the best teams, I'd say 18 of the teams are actually pretty good, and there's probably 4 that really aren't really that great that are still playing in there. Maybe 2. Some of them are actually playing a little bit better than.
I mean, the Wizards are pathetic.
Yeah, and the Wizards and Kings don't deserve to be in there.
And the Nets are pathetic.
The Nets don't deserve.
I mean, they're in the playoffs now, so they're right there.
7 seed, believe it or not.
Yeah, but they just.
But anyways, I was giving it a little bit more thought, and I was thinking like. I don't know. Like, I think the only problem with it is if you went to a system like that with the NBA, you'd have kind of the same problem you have in soccer, where you have the best players always going to the best teams, except for when they were drafted.
That's for sure how it would be.
And so, like, you'd have like only the top teams being good. At least now, the way it's set with a salary cap, there's stretches where the Milwaukee's can be good. Like, they'll eventually lose their run, but. And I was thinking about it more. I was like, actually, that might not be a good idea for the parity of the league.
But Milwaukee's probably going to eventually lose their run in this system as well. But they're set up for
it would be a weird
success.
Setup, though, if you were like the Lakers like a few years ago, and they had the second to worst league. They're in the G League the next year, and you have the North Dakota.
Could you imagine what would happen to LeBron if he signed and then
the North
he's
Dakota
sent to the G League?
Oh yeah. He would. I'm sure, like you'd have contracts where it's like,
I'm out. I'm a free agent if.
Yeah, if you have LeBron James, you're not losing like that. So that'd be hilarious. So, anyways, I thought, what did you I think you were against it, anyways.
Yeah, I don't think it's a good idea, but I think it'd be interesting. Like, I think it's set up well now for the most part. I mean, you'll get a couple teams tanking every year. Or tanking. But
I think it's one of those things where it's a good idea, but it's something that's it's not even realistic, so it's probably not worth wasting too much time on for that part.
Yeah, especially
they're never gonna do it. So
the minor league system that the NBA had is so much different than the soccer minor league system.
I think there's some things the NBA are trying to implement from soccer, like tournament ideas and stuff like that. But
I think they're trying to implement getting players in the NBA circle earlier, train them earlier, sponsored by NBA training where they're not.
Well, you're already starting to see some players starting to sign with the G League more, so that could be kind of a start to that system right there. Kind of back to some of the quality games a little bit. There's been some actually really good games this week. There was the Rockets-Bucks game that was really good earlier in the week. The Dallas Bucks game was really good yesterday too. So, like I said, some of the quality of play, the Portland Clippers game was good. Clippers Phoenix as well. So, there's been some really good games out there. So, I do think when you do have less teams and they're your better teams, you're going to probably end up with better games. So that's not shocking in that sense too. So it has been kind of cool to see every day. I'm like, man, that's a good game. That's a pretty good game. Like, usually you don't have that all the time. So, so I have a question for you. What are some teams that are looking like, threats or sleepers that were not looking like that, or were kind of looking dead around March, before the pandemic hit? We go 4 months now, and some of these teams are starting to look good. Do you have any in your mind, or?
The Rockets, I mean, they were never out of it. They were always like a top 5.
Yeah, but they were kind of starting to lose steam. They had some injuries come in, and they were.
But now I could see them pulling some crazy run, like the Pacers, and They're 3-1. But I still can't see them going on a crazy run. But they're playing very well right now.
Yeah, they beat the Kings today, so they're 3-1 since the pandemic thing, and they also beat the Bucks too on a nice comeback there too.
Damn Kings suck.
Yes, they do. We'll get to them here in a minute here.
TJ Warren and Devin Booker have probably been the two, and Harden have been like the 3 best players since the return.
The Pacers and the Suns. Let's get to them real quick. They've been.
And TJ Warren was on the Suns just a year ago.
Yeah, they've been the surprising teams in this. The Pacers are 4-1. The Suns are 4-0. And now the Suns are only a game back of the Blazers for that 9th seed to try to at least get that play-in game opportunity, which is pretty shocking.
The East doesn't even have it right now, does it?
No, right now they're not set up for that right now. So the Pacers and Suns, I'm not saying they're sleepers to really do to win the championship, but I can see the Pacers possibly giving winning a first round series against the Heat or something like that. Yeah. And definitely if you're Boston or Toronto, they probably could give you some trouble. You know what I mean? All the detail.
Yeah, you don't want to play them.
Yeah, and then with no there's no travel or anything like that. So that's the thing. There's no real home court. So I'm not saying the best team should win, but some of those factors that come down to close games at the end might not make what I mean. It might make a little difference. So we'll see there. I wanted to get to a couple other teams I thought were sleepers.
The fact that the Suns are even mentioned in the playoffs in the same sentence is amazing. And speaking of the Suns, I don't know if you were going to talk about this later. If you were, you can stop me. But you heard the Draymond Green comments?
We'll get to that here in a little bit later in the thing. I'll save that for just a little bit later. But yeah, we'll get to that. A couple other teams, those sleepers, I thought is the Blazers for sure. Partially because they got their guys back. Nurkic looks a little bit better. They got
he's still Nurkic.
Yeah, they got Collins back. But at least he's a big body.
Still there.
At least size, and he's at least decent.
Carmelo's rested.
I want to bring up Lillard though. He's just on another world sometimes. His 3-point game has just gotten so unreal over the last 4 years.
It's almost Curry. It's in the Curry
you could
levels.
Literally say it's in some ways you could say it is almost like Curry.
It is like it. I don't know if it's there.
He just doesn't have the mid-range shooting game that he portrays. In certain sense, the some of the shot, he doesn't have all the shots that Curry has. 3-point.
Curry has unorthodox.
Exactly. And he's just he's a little better free throw shooter. Just a little bit, but over time that adds up to a few points and stuff like that over time. He dropped 51 tonight against the Sixers.
They both make stupid turnovers.
Yeah. Did you hear me on that one though?
He had 56.
51 tonight.
Against who?
The Sixers. So he's just a scoring machine right now. But they got life. If you're the Lakers, you probably don't want to see Lillard in the first round.
No.
You'd probably rather see Memphis,
especially with no Bradley or.
Yeah, you're probably I'll take my chances with another team other than them. And then the other one was the Mavs. They're only 2-2, but we'll get to him a little bit more too. But Luka he's just playing so unreal right now. I mean, he's just at another he's on another level right now.
He's like a
Tyler,
mixture
he's gonna be 22. He's 21 right now, but he's going to be 22 next year. That's all. You know what I mean? That's crazy to think.
He's like a mixture of Bird and Magic.
He's crazy. He's the youngest player to have this many triple doubles as a rookie. Or this young Magic Johnson had 6 in 1980-81. He's got 17. So he's by far the youngest player to have the most in a season too.
Yeah, That's so weird because some people use it as like, oh, triple doubles don't matter. Like they'll use it against someone like Westbrook, and then they'll like use it to big someone up like Luka.
Yeah, I think the
like
Westbrook
where
thing was
I
weird
mean, it's just the fact
like,
Luka's a beast. I'm not like trying to.
Yeah,
Luka's just a flat out stuff.
I think the thing with Westbrook's is they
just
were just not as natural in a certain sense. They just weren't as natural. Like, I don't even know what that actually means.
Yeah,
but I guess it just means like in the flow of the game, he's a little bit more efficient, I guess, too, with his triple doubles.
He just can flat out shoot threes.
He can score better, right? Because when you can score better, like your passes are more efficient. Like, because the defense is when people were sagging off Westbrook, it was more like the guy guarding Westbrook is sagging off of you. So it's a little bit so it's a little bit different too, I think, with him as well. So, anyways, I think those were some sleepers there. You got any other sleepers, or are those kind of the same teams you kind of have in mind? So I had Blazers, Rockets, Mavs, and I don't know if the Suns are a sleeper, but they're definitely a sleeper to get make a little noise here. And then the Pacers, I can see the Pacers being a team somebody doesn't want to play either.
They're a sleeper in the fact that they're even mentioned in playoffs. The Suns, I thought they were going to get another top 5 pick. Like,
I know.
In
now they
December.
Now they actually might make the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
and they should start to be close to the playoffs. It's about time.
Well, absolutely. I mean, DeAndre Ayton helps just being there. He's big, athletic, and has some skill. Like,
yeah, and
Devin Booker is the main reason. Let's be real, but
yeah, no, I like Ayton's game though.
You have two guys with him, or one guy.
Who's the guy?
Rubio's there
this year. They drafted somebody else this year too. I forget who it was. They had Jackson, but they drafted from Kansas. That didn't work out a few years ago.
No, it's not good. Kansas guys never seem to work out.
I know they don't. It's funny how it just doesn't work.
Ben McLemore. Yeah.
Kirk Heinrich, the best one.
He was an alcoholic.
Paul Pierce.
He worked.
Paul Pierce is the best
Rafe
one.
LaFrance.
I'm sure there's one more out there. I just can't think of it right now. It's probably decent. Rafe LaFrance. He probably like Jock Vaughn. Did he have the next longest career out there?
Okay, that's pathetic though. You're Kansas, your top 5 program, and
no, we did a redraft. Drew Gooden was on there. He probably is a little better.
That's still not good, bro.
All right, let's get to teams that I feel like have taken the pandemic seriously and haven't looked like they've been practicing as much. They've been just kind of
they might have been
able to working as well. So the first team was the Jazz. They're 2-4 to start. Kind of the losses to OKC, Lakers, Spurs, Denver. Most of them were close losses, so I'll give them that. But they just don't look as fluid as they were in the first 50 games of the year. I kind of wonder with them if they'll ever be able to crack the top 4 with the roster they have, unless the West just deteriorates more. But the Warriors are only going to get into that picture again next year. So I don't know if the Jazz roster-wise, unless they made a move for just a total all-star, they'd be able to crack that top 4 because, I don't know if Mitchell's going to be able to make that progression. And Gobert, I feel like there's kind of an issue with him. Nothing to do with the virus issue, more to do with his game actually. Remember he made that statement about before the pandemic that he wanted more touches. And I'm just like, oh no, he got into he's not good. You know what I mean? It's you're the center that isn't good enough to want touches like that. So don't be that guy. And I kind of feel like if he played more I know this is kind of a –
But, I mean, if I were him, I'd want touches over the guys they're giving. Maybe not Mitchell. Don't affect Mitchell's touches. But Ingles, okay, I can take 2 of his touches. He's not that much. He's probably not.
Yeah, but
maybe if you have a roster that's better.
Well. So you want Gobert touching the ball?
No, I don't want Gobert. I don't want Gobert on
yeah, and you're thinking that as a coach because your team is better with him as a lob threat. So I feel like and just playing good defense, that's when your team's at its best. I feel like so if he tried to just play kind of like Tyson Chandler did on the Mavericks, or I know he's better than this player, but kind of like JaVale McGee's kind of turned into at times stretches where he.
So you want him to be like
how
the
he
guy
is,
on the Rockets?
How he is?
Used to be on the Rockets.
Way better than him though, but just play
at
his
what
defense.
Just
more like the Chandler version, I guess, would be better. Something like that on a championship.
Who the hell was that guy on the Rockets?
Are you talking about Capella?
Yeah, he was pretty good.
Pretty good. Oh, but he's better than Capella, obviously. But yeah, it's something like that. I don't know. I just feel like the Jazz are just I don't know. They're kind of disappoint me every year when it comes playoff time. They're kind of like that team that gets some hype, and then it's just like, you know what I mean? It's just like,
didn't they draft Michael Porter Jr. and they traded him? Or
no, I think
I feel like they made a couple good draft picks, and then they end up trading the guy for like a veteran.
I'm not sure, but I know that the Nuggets did. Well,
I know they have him now.
Speaking of the Nuggets, that's the next disappointing team I had on there. 3-3. I feel like with the Nuggets, like they're just kind of like. I feel
Murray's
like
not good.
I picked them to be contender coming in back into the bubble, but watching them, I haven't been very, very impressed. They feel like they're like a college team just coming back for the first time. They look way rusty, or maybe even a high school team just coming back and not knowing each other very well. Something with Jokic and Murray, I just feel like they don't have the star power.
Murray's good enough, or Gary Neal, or not Gary Neal, Harris. No, Gary Harris.
Yeah, the shooting
or
guard.
Like they need basically in the future, maybe in 2 years, if Michael Porter Jr. takes a huge step and Bol turns into what he looked like in those warm-up games. What
do you think about Porter Jr.? I had him down here. He's the guy with the Nuggets.
I think he could be good. If he stays healthy, I don't see how he's not good. He can shoot lights out. He's 6'10", and he's
got a real good feel.
He's not the greatest athlete, but he's athletic enough.
He kind of reminds me of a right-handed poor man's version of Lamar Odom.
I think he likes to score more than that, though.
Odom was more of a pass-first kind of guy, yeah.
Yeah, he was got tentative and would only put back.
I guess because of his methodical speed at times, kind of reminds me of Odom.
Yeah, I could see it, the size and the skill.
But I think you're right. Maybe I think Odom's definitely was more of a passer, but he's got a nice game though. The Nuggets were in position to be able to wait for him. Because they drafted him in the lottery.
They still took him 10 or
they took him 14th in the lottery, last lottery pick. But my point is they were able to. They knew it was going to be basically 2 years before he made any type of contribution, maybe a year and a half in his place. But they were in a position to be able to do that. Smart pick, and I think if he can stay healthy, he might be the guy with Jokic that would be a better fit. Murray's the guy with the Nuggets. I'm not so sure about. His game is weird to me. Yeah, I don't want him necessarily touching the ball as much as Porter Jr. You know what I mean? I'd rather have Jokic and him running pick and roll.
I think
he's standing there shooting.
A better Seth Curry, that type of role. I feel like he's a better player than that. But
I have him down as a Jason Terry. That's what he could turn his game.
Well, that's kind of okay.
You know what I mean? That's how I feel like he could be. He is a good player. He could be borderline all-star like Terry was. Terry never made it, but he was borderline.
Yeah, that's a better comparison. I'll agree with.
So I think if he could somehow humble himself to that role eventually, but the Nuggets have to develop a better player. So hopefully Porter Jr. And then I also got Bol did that. He had a few his debut. He doesn't look that bad.
No, he's not bad at all. I don't know how he went in the 30s.
Recruit to Oregon.
I don't know how he went in the 30s. I mean, yeah, he has an injury.
I don't know why the Warriors didn't take him.
Yeah, or anybody.
What are they thinking?
The 30, he has athleticism. He's 7'3". He's Porzingis, but even more outside game and a little skinnier. But
yeah, I don't know what they were thinking. What a horrible decision there. Especially when the guy's a top recruit out of high school and he's for a year, you can get him low value. Take the chance on him like that. You took a chance on Festus Ezeli for that reason. Take a chance on this guy.
Festus wasn't that highly recruited.
But they took him at 30th because he had injuries. They're like, oh well, he would have been higher if it wasn't for this knee injury he had at Vanderbilt. It's like, really, Vanderbilt?
What was Bol's injury? His foot or his back?
I think it was his foot.
Michael Porter was his back.
Yeah, and did he have ACL too?
No,
he had back. You're right, back surgery.
Yeah,
he didn't even play at Missouri more than I don't even think he played.
No, he played a week.
Played a scrimmage game or something. A couple other teams real quick too that I feel like have been real bad. I'll get to them real quick here. Is the Bucks? They've been 2-3. I feel like they were kind of on one of those teams. I was like, they're kind of a sleeper pick too, not because they're number one player, but they were starting to look really bad come March. They weren't playing very well. They were playing 500 to last 10 games. And if you don't remember, Giannis was pretty banged up at that point. They had a few other guys banged up. So I feel like they've kind of gained a little life, but they haven't played very well to come out of the break. Bledsoe's back.
I feel like they've had a really hard schedule.
Yeah, they have. They've lost to Houston, but they lost to New Jersey and Dallas. Houston and Dallas, they're both kind of blue games against, but you can't lose to New Jersey. They do get Bledsoe back. That will help. I feel like with the Bucks too, they kind of have the same issue. I feel like that Denver has is I don't trust like their like second and third guys. Like I don't trust Bledsoe and Middleton enough for me to pick them to even beat a team like the Raptors in some ways.
Well, Raptors. I don't trust the Raptors. I think.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like, I don't trust the Bucks necessarily either because I don't trust some of their other guys like Bledsoe and Middleton.
Before last year, Kyle Lowry was a choke artist in the playoffs. Like that's what he was known for. Like
I do
literally.
For some reason like Brook though Lopez. I mean, I like his game though. I don't know what it is about. He's a massive human being.
You should get more than 6 rebounds a game.
Played against the Rockets, he looked like he was just a like gigantic human being. Like it was so they lost to the Rockets, but Tyler, that game was hilarious. Like he must have got like
PJ Tucker on you.
Yeah, he had like 12 offensive rebounds. I mean, he's like dominating the glass. He still couldn't win. He's like posting up. He's just like crushing these guys on the glass. But that was just funny to watch. Other team I want to shout out real quick before a little shout out because they don't deserve too much more is the Kings. Just a couple.
Shout them out. Shout
down. How do you pass on Donich for I mean seriously, how do you pass on him? Like it just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Horrible pick. I'm not saying Bagley's even going to be a bad player if he could ever stay healthy, but he's not going to need – I mean, this guy's on another level. It's obvious. Just watch him play like 10 minutes, and you're like, oh, he's going to be a superstar. So it blows my mind how even somebody like Vlade Divac from Europe area still isn't taking a guy. It just doesn't make sense. So
yeah, I don't know.
It's a weird move there. And the other one is Walton. I think if you're a Kings fan, I would have been very disappointed when they hired him as the coach.
Luke?
He just feels like a retread, like Walton.
Luke Walton. I think Luke's
to me, he's
fine.
a retread. I don't know.
What do you mean he's a retread? He coached one team, and the team had LeBron, and LeBron didn't like him, so he was going to get gotten rid of.
I just don't feel like I guess with him with the Warriors too, I never got the feeling with him.
They went 26-0 with him.
I just never felt good with him as a coach in some regards. When he went from the Lakers to them and then he went to there, I don't know. I'd rather have a different coach if I was the King. So
like who?
For me, I'd rather have a Kings fan. You like Walt? No, that's fair. That's fair.
Who would you want there?
I don't know, but I just wouldn't want Walton. I would not want Walton as the coach right there. I would probably go with somebody a little bit more defensive oriented. The Kings have never had a defensive oriented coach, and the ones that they did have, they never supported, and they actually started to play better with the guy that's now the coach of Denver. They actually were playing pretty well.
Malone?
And they let him go. Like, you know what I mean? So I think they should have held on to him. But so those are some teams that I just thought were not they just haven't come out of the gate as well. They're all playoff teams except for the Kings there, but it'll be interesting to see how they sustain themselves.
The Kings don't have much talent outside of Fox and Hield, I guess.
They just haven't shown up, though. They've got just run off the floor in like 4 out of the 5 games.
Bogdanovich, like.
I kind of wonder what the Kings would do, though, if they just committed to a backcourt of Fox and Bogdanovich. What
do you do with Hield?
No, he's the 6th man. You basically have him as the 6th man coming off scoring. And you have – because Bogdanovich can kind of handle the ball.
How big is Bogdanovich? Because that's a little – Hield's not that big.
He's like 6'5", 6'6". So, I'm not saying the Kings would be able to get much better. I mean, he's a pretty good player. If they just let him play, let him play 38 minutes, just see let him play with Fox. I feel like him –
Does he not get minutes?
Huh?
Does he not get minutes?
Not always when they have all these guys, because the Kings are this type of organization like the Warriors would be, where they sign these, like, Gary Neals or these Corey Josephs and stuff like that to these weird deals that they end up playing, and Yogi Ferrells, and it's like they play these guys 10 minutes and when they shouldn't be playing any minutes, they should be going to these younger guys.
Yeah.
So I think if they just went with him and then Bagley at power forward, they might have something there. So that's what and then they have to basically commit to Harrison Barnes too, because they paid him, which was not a very good signing. Either.
Do you know who really has impressed me? And Reggie Williams on the Celtics, the center. I watched one game.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Who the heck is?" And then I was like, "Oh, this is the guy from Texas A&M." And I'm just like, "Man, this guy's a stud!" Like he's not a stud like where you can feed him the ball and he's going to post up and get 30 points a night. But like just as a backup center, or even like a starting center for a team that doesn't need that position, is this guy has something. He's pretty athletic. He's not the tallest guy, but he's thick. Like,
and with the coach of the Celtics too, he'll be able to maximize whatever
Brad
he can.
Stevens can coach him up like no
yeah,
other.
he'll maximize him to the core. So he's going to be a nice player for the Celtics.
It'll
be interesting how he plays in the playoffs, or how much money he gets.
I was like, when did they get him, and how did they get him? Like,
they draft him, right?
I'm assuming so, but I don't know. I was like, but
he's a nice player. And with anything with Brad Stevens, I usually just consider him to have the golden touch with some of these like players. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like Tice.
Who?
Thies or Thice or like
the guy. Yeah, you're like
now he's shooting threes and
the German. Yeah, he's out there. And then they had the other big guy too for a little bit. I wanted to kind of get to the awards, get your thoughts on that. I was going through some of the awards and going through some of the articles, and I kind of wrote down from looking at most of them, kind of averaging what the top 3 MVPs were, and then what the finals are. The finals are basically going to be for these awards when they do that. No, they do that award show now for the NBA.
The players voting.
So they have so now they actually tell you who the finalists are going to be. So this is who the finalists are pretty much going to be for the.
But that's
a
different award than the MVP, isn't it?
It is, but it's like it kind of gives you an idea who's going to be in the running for the final MVP.
Okay.
So first of all, I was listening to the Bill Simmons podcast, and he brought up a point that, as a voter, I guess he votes for like the MVP, that these 8 games in the bubble don't count towards the MVP.
The votes have already been put in?
If they haven't been put in, I'm assuming while you're watching this, you cannot consider it. So they've probably already put it in, I guess.
Well, that doesn't make sense.
And that's what he was saying. He's like, I would have liked to consider it, not for all the awards, like Rookie of the Year, but for like MVP. What if the Rockets went like 8-0? They move up to like the 3 seed, he might be the MVP. So I think that's a little weird that they didn't consider that like part of the. It's not like
part of the season.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I thought that was a little weird, and even him as a voter, and he's probably like the most guy I respect the most in the NBA, talking about it. That if he has an issue with it, I'm kind of surprised that. Not that he complained about it, but it's maybe something they want to think about. If they have to do something like this in the future too, because who knows. MVP. Giannis, LBG, or LBG. LBJ.
Don't forget LGBTQ or whatever. Not whatever. Mad love.
Yeah.
I'm in a pink room. I love that.
Same thing. LBJ, LeBron James, Harden, Luka, Lillard, and Kawhi Leonard. That's who I have basically in kind of like the top 6 in order, basically.
Who was the last 2? Kawhi and Lillard?
I had so Giannis, LeBron, Harden, Luka, Damian Lillard, Kawhi Leonard. So that's who I kind of got there. Right? Yeah, I think 6.
Who was?
I think I got Giannis, LeBron, Harden, and then the bottom, then 4, 5, 6. I'll have is Luka, Lillard, and Kawhi.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I think Giannis.
So you can count.
I feel like Giannis is the favorite, though. I feel like Luka's coming on pretty strong, but
it doesn't count.
Doesn't count apparently. So
and they're losing. It's not like they're winning games.
I think LeBron and Giannis will be very close, but I think Giannis will end up beating him out barely for it. What do you think?
I think Harden should win it, but I think Giannis will get it.
I think everybody just doesn't like Harden's game enough to move.
I mean, I hate Harden's game. I just look at his numbers, and they're better than LeBron for sure.
But Giannis, that gets me to the next one. He's probably going to win. He might win Defensive Player of the Year, too.
I don't know who else you'd give it to.
And maybe Gobert. Again. But that's
people get sick of voting for the same guy.
Anthony Davis, I know, has had a good season too. So, but I feel like it's going to be Giannis. So I feel like if you win Defensive Player of the Year and MVP, that's a pretty good season.
I almost feel like Anthony Davis is more of an MVP candidate than some of the guys we listed.
He could be more than like Kawhi.
Yeah.
I feel like Lillard should be there, though.
No, if you're the 9 seed, get out of here.
I just feel like his stats at least put him in the conversation.
No, they do.
I wouldn't have him in the top 3.
But so are Anthony Davis's stats.
Yeah. So what do you think?
I'm not putting him to win it. I think Giannis is going to get it.
So you would pick Harden?
No, I'd probably pick Giannis.
Okay,
but
so you're going Giannis.
If I was to make an argument, I think I could argue one for Harden, but I don't want him to get it, or I don't think he should.
All right, let me give you my last 4 here, like categories, and I'll tell you who I got, and tell me if you either disagree or if you got any thought on them. So Rookie of the Year, Morant. Coach of the Year, I think it's going to be Nurse or
I think it's Budenholzer, but
yeah, I was thinking maybe Donovan too from OKC. They've kind of surprised a little bit. And 6th man, I think the Clippers have like 2 guys. They have Lou Williams and they have Montrezl Harrell. They could probably go with, and then probably Schroeder from OKC. I was thinking would probably also be next on that list. He's had a good season coming off the bench for the Thunder. And then most improved player, I think it's going to be easily Ingram from the Pelicans. He's had a really good season this year.
A great first 4 months.
Yeah, he's been really good. And I thought he was. I didn't ever thought he was going to be like an MVP, but I thought he was going to be.
He always killed the Warriors.
Yeah, you know how like we were doing those redrafts and we had like Jamal Mashburn was like a 2-time All-Star with a 1-time I feel like that's the career Ingram could have. It's something like that where like he has like a 4-year stretch where he's an All-Star.
I think it could be better than that.
But you know what I mean? Like
I think it could be a perennial All-Star.
So he just gets hurt like so much. You know, those are the type of thing with those guys. It's hard for them to be perennial when they hurt so much. But you think he has the potential to be like a 8-time All-Star or something like that? Yeah, he could be. Yeah, he could score.
Not at his best. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't bet on it, but I think he could.
I think definitely having Zion and Ball on his team will help him a ton. Both those
guys
are such
Zion's the most overrated prospect since.
I think he's overrated, but he does a really nice team game.
You ever bring him up with like LeBron? I think you're an idiot.
Oh no, but
it happens all the time.
But I feel like he's got a really nice team game.
Oh, absolutely.
Like the Pelicans are like a good team to go to because I think they actually have good players around him. Like he doesn't have to score all the points. Like he has Ingram, he has like Ball who can pass, you know, for alley oops and does his type of thing. And then he has
shoots a super high percentage. I mean, he's a good player, but he doesn't rebound well enough for me to play the 4.
I think he's a good rebounder. He's a really good
I've watched 2 games, and he had 2 rebounds in 24 minutes and 0 rebounds in like 18 minutes or something.
I wonder if he's just not getting consistent minutes either.
He had 24 and 18. Maybe it wasn't in a row, so he couldn't get in a rhythm. I don't know, but
yeah,
I just saw.
I feel like he's
a good offensive rebounder. I'd agree. Like, he works hard. He has good plays hard.
We'll see what happens.
Can't question
what happens. I
see his best being maybe Blake Griffin in his prime, and his worst being Blake Griffin not in his. He's Blake Griffin to me.
Well, Blake Griffin, borderline, not quite a Hall of Famer.
I mean, he might be.
I hope
it depends.
Yeah, everybody's in the Hall of Fame and the Basketball Hall of Fame, so everybody will get in there. So we're both in agreement there on Ingram.
But Steph Curry might not get in.
The other thing too, yes, that's true. Speaking of the Warriors too, they're kind of like the cloud that kind of hangs over this bubble a little bit. Is like like if you're, they're not going to like an automatic winner, but if you're these other teams, you're like, all right, that's another team in the mix next year. We gotta. Like, if you're one of the top teams, this is a year you want to win it. You know what I mean? When you don't have to deal with another team coming back next year in it. So you got to just like when the Warriors have been in it, it's like you want to take advantage of it when you're in it because you don't know, what can happen the next year. So,
absolutely.
So I wanted to get to a couple of news and notes from the bubble so far that I thought were kind of interesting to get your opinion on. So players that have been unreal so far in the Orlando bubble. Couple random guys. We got T.J. Warren. He's averaging 34.8 points in 5 games. He also scored in one game. He had 53 points.
Do you have access to the internet right now?
Yeah.
What's his career high before this bubble? Do you know?
Before that, I don't know. It's good. But I always felt like he could score a little bit. And
he could always, in college, he even scored I think 22 his senior year at NC State.
Was he at NC State? I thought he went to Kentucky. No, NC State.
TJ Warren, NC State.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he always had he had a nice game because the Warriors played him so many times.
He killed me in a March Madness game. He missed a bunch of free throws. They were like up by like 6 with 30 seconds left, and he missed a bunch of free throws.
Yeah,
not him, but the team.
He's got a nice game. Let's see. Yeah, he's got the one there. Let's see.
Devin Booker. Oh, what are you looking up stats?
I was trying to see when he had another one.
Another what?
I can't find it.
A 30-point game?
Yeah, probably. I think he had 30. I know he's had probably at least a couple 30-point games, TJ Warren.
I don't know. I think 29 might have been like his career high.
But he's been unreal so far on the Pacers.
Yeah, it's like 3 30-point games and 153 and then like an 18.
Yeah, averaging 34. That's crazy. Booker's averaging 31.4 from the Suns. He had a nice game winner versus the Clippers, and then that's where I wanted to bring up the Draymond thing too with him. Is Draymond got fined $50,000 for tampering? You want to explain what happened there?
He's analyzing a basketball game on like NBA TV, or was he with Ernie? He might have been with Ernie actually.
That Inside TNT thing.
Like we need to get him out of Phoenix. We all know he's a baller. He needs to get out of Phoenix. And then Ernie goes, "You think you're tampering?" He goes, "Maybe." So that being said, you're tampering.
Draymond always worries. I feel like he's got a little too big of a big mouth for still playing.
His ego's gotten a little.
Yeah, I feel like that's the kind of that's a good word for it. I feel like his ego's got a little bit away from him, but I thought that was an interesting thing. Like, that'd be nice to get him though on the Warriors. We'll keep Clay.
Oh, that would be.
We'll take that.
I mentioned that in the trade scenarios.
How could they actually
too unrealistic? Yeah. Wiggins in the next 5 first-round picks. There you go.
Wiggins agreed for both.
We'd have no big.
We have no big. So he's been unreal. We already talked about Porter Jr. and Bull. They've been really good. They've been good. Just kind of interesting to see them back. But then Luka, 33 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists. So he's averaging basically a triple-double, or a little shy of. He's just a little shy of the rebound. So basically averaging.
Yeah, but you round it up if you're over 9.5.
He's basically a modern-day Magic Johnson. I mean, he really is.
Yeah, but he scores better than Magic.
That's why I said a modern. He's just 40. I mean, but Magic still got his 25 and his 30s, like when he needed to. You know, I'd be like,
what? No, what do you average a year?
When we do my next rewatchable we do at some point is going to be the 91 Lakers game against the Warriors, and you'll see he can score. He could score back when he wanted to.
Yeah, but he didn't.
Modern day. So let's talk almost 40 years.
That's why I said he's Bird Johnson.
Well, he did pass Magic Johnson with the triple-double stats, so maybe there's a little comparison there with it. So anyways, I just feel like that's who he is. I feel like he's a modern day, like, you know, fine. Larry Bird or Magic Johnson, they're pretty similar
combined.
Too. Games as well. So I just feel like his game is just so unreal. Just shakes my head every time thinking of him at the Kings passed on him.
Oh, my bad.
I wanted to get to the Sixers real quick too. I don't know if you know, Embiid twisted his ankle today, so he's possibly banged up too. I'm not sure what's going to happen with him. Simmons is already out for the year.
They won't win another game.
Yeah, and Phillies look sloppy too. On their first game back, they looked horrible. They were like fighting with Embiid, fighting with somebody on the sideline there coming back.
Who was that? Covington, maybe?
No, it was Covington's on the Rockets.
I love Covington's game.
Yeah, he got traded. Remember, he was on the Timberwolves. They traded him. But where does Philly go from here? You know, is it time to split those guys up? Like, it just seems like they might.
You get the right offer. Together. I wouldn't do it for just to do it. But
yeah, it's just Simmons. I feel like he's still like that player where you're like, he's got a good game, so you don't want to just trade him. And like Embiid, you obviously don't want to just trade him. But I feel like if I was the Sixers, Embiid's the guy I would trade, because I feel like his stock with injuries, it only has a chance of going down. I feel like Simmons, you have an easier chance.
But he's not a guaranteed healthy
I would
guy
just take
either.
I think if I had to roll the dice, that's who I would roll the dice on. I would just roll it there, and I would break it up, and I would see what I could get for Embiid, and I would just
whoever was worth more on the market, I'd get rid of that guy.
Yeah, you could do that too. You could do that. I think who would you go with though, player wise? If you didn't do it by offer, like that's the obvious way of doing it, but just by who would you keep just to build your team around?
And then Simmons.
Simmons, you would keep. I
Just
think
because of modern day NBA, I don't need.
Yeah,
I don't want a big like that.
He's basically a center anyways.
That surprises me from you though, just because you would like to be the contrary and start the new trend like you talked about oh, I'd love to have a big guy in this day and age and just.
I do like Embiid, but I feel like with Embiid there's something I do feel that way about it. And Embiid for a little bit I was kind of with him because he was pretty passionate about some of that stuff, but part of him worries me too a little bit because of his injury. He's always kind of missing games here and there, and then he's kind of lackadaisical more than I would want my big guy to be at times. You know what I mean? So maybe he needs a coach to put him on the block more to see that. But so, anyways, I would just go with Simmons a little bit more if I was them. It'd be interesting to see what they do. That's an interesting team.
The whole moving him to – I mean, we only got to see it for 2 days or whatever, but moving Simmons to power forward is the most dumb thing. I was like, this is – why would you hinder what he does best?
Yeah.
Like, you're making him even less effective. You're just putting a guy out there who's not going to space the floor at all and with the ball in his hands. And that's what he's good at.
The man made a 3 and he got a standing ovation for attempting it. I mean, are you kidding me? Then at some point you have a coach that's just in youth sports. It's like, hey, buddy, why don't I'll just sit with you. Let's just take some jumpers here for a little bit. Or they just no, we need to win this high school game, this AAU game. You need to get your butt 4 feet from the hoop and jump higher than this.
That's probably what the coach thought. He's like, I'll win more games if you don't.
But he's
jumpers.
So smart too, so he probably was just yeah, that's the way to do it. I'm winning.
He's thinking like a coach too. If I want to win a game. I'm bigger, faster, stronger.
It's just weird. He's just he's just so good at everything else. But it's kind of like a Jason Kidd, I guess, in a way. When he started
and that's the most fun part of practicing is taking jump shots. What
was the joke with Jason Kidd? No,
they called him in Oakland. They called him Asen because he didn't have a J.
That's what, I don't know. It's so cheesy, but good. So the Sixers. That one kind of gets me into matchups so far. We got 1 week left before the playoffs. We got the bubble game or the 8 seed games that could start on August 15th next week, and then the playoffs are actually going to start on August 17th. So we're right there from go time. So in the East, we got Milwaukee versus Orlando, possibly. We got Toronto versus New Jersey, Boston versus Philly. Miami versus Indiana. To me, those are all snooze fests.
Is it us because we live on the West Coast that the East Coast players are always snooze fests to me? Until the Eastern Conference Finals, because it might affect the Warriors.
I think occasionally there might be. I feel like there was this Philly Boston thing once in a while in the first round.
That was always boring. I hated those games also.
Or maybe there was a player I was kind of interested in seeing one time. But yeah, I'm with you. They're all boring. I think it's
my whole life it's been that way after Jordan. I feel like.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. It's been pretty bad to watch. Even though I've watched a lot.
I guess there was some great Celtics, LeBron.
Yeah, there was some there. I watched them. I was a basketball nerd, so I watched them. But I wouldn't say I was looking forward to them more than the West Coast game. So
it just didn't have the pizzazz, the star power. You had the best player in the league, I guess, in LeBron, but.
Oh, hold on,
the depth of the. Yeah. Okay.
So who do you got here? Milwaukee versus Orlando. Obviously Milwaukee. Toronto versus New Jersey. Obviously Toronto. Boston versus Philly. Boston, right?
Boston.
Miami versus Indiana.
How's Miami? I don't know how Miami's been playing, but
I'm gonna go Indiana. I'm gonna go Indiana.
Well, I'll be a contrarian. I'll go Miami.
Miami.
I think it's a toss-up.
Iguodala makes the difference. All right, so West, this is what we care about. So you got the 8. Let's set up the 8 seed play-in first. So you got Memphis versus Portland as of right now, but San Antonio, Phoenix are only a game behind. They're right there. Pelicans are still in the mix, but they'd have to go perfect and get a lot of help. So I don't think they're gonna make it. First round would be Lakers versus Memphis as of right now. If Memphis won, I'd rather see Portland in there, obviously. I feel like that'd be a much more watchable.
It's 2 out of 3 , but
yeah, so
Portland would have to win 2, but Memphis only has to win 1, right?
Yeah, correct.
Well, that can go anyway just because of that.
You got to admit, Tyler, that's going to be fun to watch, though.
There's no crowd, though. If there's a crowd, it would be better.
But at least at least the idea of it will be fun. It's kind of a go.
If they didn't do it, if they made the rule before the year, I'd be all for it. the makes one up.
Cool.
Just
kind of like baseball.
I just don't
style.
like the idea of it.
Yeah,
but it's a cool rule.
All right, so let's get back to the matchup here. We got Lakers, Memphis, possibly as of now. We got Clippers, Dallas, Denver, Utah, Houston, OKC. I think by far the best matchup in there, the one I definitely want to see by far is the Clippers, Dallas. That's by far the one.
I mean, I think the Clippers,
they win that, but that's the most entertaining one to me.
I agree with you. Most star power, but I find the Clippers boring.
Number 2 series for me. Why the boring? They're
boring. Yeah, they have good players, but they play boring style basketball.
I feel like against Dallas the best could come out of them at times. Number 2 series I got on there for matchup. I got Denver versus Utah. I feel like that'd be a chippy series. That could be kind of a good one. That'd be a 4 versus 5.
That's one of those underrated series that's going to be good that won't matter.
That would be a real good series too if you were actually playing with crowds too, because it'd be Mountain West and it'd be like kind of a big series.
Close proximity.
And then this would be a good one too if you had crowds as well. And we'll be good anyways. Houston versus OKC I have as my third favorite one there as well. So I basically have the top 4 series are all West Coast, especially if Portland gets in there.
I wish they would unedit the OKC Houston one just to hear Chris Paul talking. I'd turn off the announcers if I could just have a Chris Paul like soundtrack for that. And I'd find him annoying most of the time, but against the Rockets would be fun.
Dude, that would be great if we had it. That would be so great if that. And that kind of gets me to my final thing here to wrap it up with is what was the things I caught from last week and the things I'm looking forward to this week. So yesterday, actually, Lillard got into it with the Clippers bench a little bit. He missed 2 free throws. They were down by 1 point with about 25 seconds left. He missed both free throws to try to give him the lead. Beverly was on the bench just, yelling Dame time, stuff like that. And one of the Morris twins was also yelling at it. And then they were doing the goodbye thing to him. And then they got to do a little Twitter battle today and said, basically Lillard said, Beverly tweeted Cancun on 3 to him. And then
that's pretty funny. It's a good one.
Paul George wrote, you'll have a good off season. And then
Paul George got into it.
Paul George commented as well on it, and then Lillard said, "You left Indy, and you boys have been running this whole time, something like that, something like in that regard. So you guys have been running around for it. So it was kind of fun to see a little trash talking in there as well. So speaking to you can hear a lot more. You could hear them talking on the bench, right?
Even the rival last year with Lillard when he hit the shot.
George always seems to have it. But George is the one that he got knocked out by. And that's what Lillard said, too. He's like, it's all right. I take it as a compliment because, I knocked them both out of the playoffs. So they know I usually deliver in those moments. That's why.
Did they beat the Clippers last year?
No, he beat the Thunder.
Yeah, but Beverly wasn't on the Thunder.
No, he wasn't, but George was. Remember, he did the goodbye thing too. So
the rock the baby.
But he did beat Beverly when he was on the Rockets. Remember when he beat? That was
Okay.
So he's knocked them both out of the playoffs with game winners. So that
was Game 7 too.
Did anything catch your anything catch your eye from the NBA last week?
Just the scoring, everyone, all these
terrible defense.
50. It is what it is. I'm not as high on it as you are.
Yeah.
I think it's something, so it's better than nothing for sure.
I kind of want to know how the coaches are coaching with the mask on. Like when I'm seeing Mike D'Antoni with the mask,
are they forced to wear it?
No, but some of them, I think if you're a certain age or if you have like a health condition, I think they make you wear
it. Sounds like
that.
Lawsuit.
So last thing before we get out of here, game of the week I got for the NBA this week is I got Portland versus Dallas because Portland's gonna really need that, and Dallas is gonna hopefully Dallas will give it a good effort. So I feel like that could be a good high scoring game if you got one this week. So that's the one I got for the week. There's a couple other ones out there. I think Milwaukee also plays Toronto in there, so I think that would be a good game as well.
That would be interesting.
Denver plays the Lakers tomorrow, so if LA plays everybody, that could be a decent game as well.
Yeah, I just wish Denver just played Bol and Michael Porter more.
I know.
Guaranteed.
No, I think it'd be more fun to watch them.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You got to admit though, it's almost playoff time. Even though I know it's not the same, it's at least something, right? At least it should be like those, especially those West Coast matchups I just mentioned. Those are going to be good. Those should be good series to watch.
Yeah,
and like the fact that they're going to be all around the same campus, it's kind of going to be interesting to see how that feel. Like over time, kind of like being all there in the same area and stuff like that.
Did you hear who was it? Someone beat the Bucks, and they're like, "Yeah, we had pool time with someone who just played with the Rockets."
Was it the Rockets?
Yeah.
Or New Jersey,
we just had pool time with the. Oh yeah, New Jersey just beat the Bucks, and someone on New Jersey or Brooklyn was like, "Yeah, we had pool time with Houston, and they were giving us scouting reports. That's why we played so good against them or something." And Houston already has a rivalry with Milwaukee. Or Harden and Giannis have a rivalry.
That's funny.
It goes back and forth.
What's funny is that you just said Brooklyn. I realized I probably would say New Jersey the whole time.
No, I don't think you were, because I would have corrected you. I said New Jersey also. I was like, yeah, New Jersey. No, it's not.
That's funny. It's like probably like saying like the San Diego Chargers. All right, man. That was fun doing this podcast this week. I enjoyed doing the catching up a little bit on the NBA. I'm looking forward to the playoffs. Looking forward to next Sunday. We'll do this again, kind of review the week a little bit. Maybe hit a little MLB.
Yeah, I can't wait to get into that one. Well, hopefully it's still going.
Maybe we'll do our little.
The Cardinals have 55 games remaining to play, and there's only 50 more days in the regular season.
Yeah,
see how it works out.
We'll see how that works out. Well, people hopefully can listen to our MLB podcast here earlier in the week. I'll definitely want to be bringing up Ramon Laureano as well. Charging the Astros bench and the A's.
Hold on, just a quick little. What a pathetic effort he made to get to the guy. Like he got tackled by Bregman, and then ran straight into the ground, went down with Bregman.
He's like, yeah,
got in front of him.
I'll just gotta go.
Yeah, it was like you did like
COVID.
If you were that mad, would you be jumping and I'm getting through that.
He just went right at it to do it. Another funny baseball.
Who was it? Who he was yelling at?
I think it was like the pitching coach or something.
That makes sense.
Well, he was. I don't know if you actually saw the play, but he was like after he got hit. Watch it. He's like kind of like he's like gesturing what the pitcher was like. He's like, "You idiot! Like you threw it like this." Like he's actually kind of like the whole way down, just like you threw.
Telling him how to throw a curveball.
Yeah, like kind of like you don't throw it like this. You throw it like that. Like kind of being kind of sarcastic about it as well. But he's been hit like literally. I think they said 6 times in the last like.
By Houston or just in general?
In Houston, the last 10 games against him. And he got hit twice today by him. So he was probably a little ticked off. So he went after them. So I thought that was kind of a little funny thing with MLB. So we'll probably get into that a little bit more when we get into our MLB talk later in the week.
Well, the A's are hot.
So they are. Oh, that was the last thing I was going to bring up too. A funny stat: the A's have a 5-game lead on the Astros in AL West. The St. Louis Cardinals have played 5 games.
5 games. They have 55 more to play.
That's hilarious.
In 50 days.
The A's have. Well, they can play a quadruple double. Come on.
My second overall pick is pitched 1 game. Yes.
We're going to do minor B baseball. We're going to play 4 inning games here. We're going to
play. Is that what they're going to turn into? All right, 10-run rule. Season game's over.
That's funny. All right, man. That was fun. Look forward to doing the baseball one later in the week. All right, man. Take it easy. Have a good one.
Have a good one.
Yeah, later.